Hello, how are you doing? I hope good. I was asked by a good friend of mine, Merit Raju from Estonia, to read out loud an article that I've written for her magazine that is called Hingelepai, that's Estonian, and it's published 3 years ago. So in this video I will read out loud this article, and I haven't read it since I wrote it 3 years ago, so I will give you short updates if necessary. Now this will be an audio file as well, and you can find in the description a link to download that audio file. So if you feel that's easier, maybe while you're sitting on the train, you can download that file. And this is like my story about the Wim Hof method, how I met Wim, why I was triggered, things like that. All right? So here we go. The article is called, let me put on my reading glasses. And then I woke up in my life about to jump in an ice bath. You know, I've always been interested in seeing what my body is able to do. So far, I've been a fanatic yoga practitioner. I've been watching my food, I meditate once in a while, and in the last years I found a new tool, breathing exercises, cold training. I was triggered by, and now I'm an instructor in, something that is called the Wim Hof method. I met Wim in Brighton, the UK, where we both gave a talk at the Brighton Veg Fest. This is a vegan festival in the UK. We talked for like 6 hours and we became friends. We talked about life and about the mystical things like how to get more energy by having the right mindset. We ended up drinking a beer in a bar. We intuitively clicked and became friends. A few weeks later, when we had a coffee together, Wim asked me to help him out and become a trainer in his method. I wanted to do this training for myself, but I became an enthusiastic teacher in the method. Learning for myself to control my autonomic nervous system and teaching it to others. I just love it. How my training, the Wim Hof method, saved my life. I'm happy to say that I'm a father of 4 children, now aged 19, 17, 14 and 6 years old. Little correction. I'm happy to say that I'm a father of 5 children, now aged 22, 20, 18, 9 and 1.5 years old. Hello little Zoe, welcome to the world. Boy, girl, girl, boy, boy. They have to cope with a hippie father that travels around the world because I love to show them that they are global citizens, transcending to more than just being a Dutch, Japanese and a Dutch mix. So I just had to go to the Philippines, me alone with my 4 children. So this is like 5 years ago. I still had 4 children then. Island hopping with a backpack. Since I'm a fanatic scuba diver, I did more than 400 scuba dives. Part of that hippie training they get is learning how to scuba dive. So in 6 weeks' time, they became open water, advanced nitrox divers. It's amazing to scuba dive with your children. They're absolute talents, way better than I was when I started scuba diving. I'm so proud of them. But it almost went wrong one time. If you're traveling as a dad alone with 4 children, Filipino families want to invite you at their homes and take care of you. So one evening we were chilling with the locals. The locals have a funny way of drinking. Share 1 glass of rum, which is, for your information, €1 for a liter, which is cheaper than gasoline here in Europe. And 1 glass of cola. A long story short, I drank a little bit too much. The next day, my 15-year-old daughter really wanted, so she's now 22, really wanted to do the early morning shark dive. I felt a little bit hungover, but I didn't want to admit that. So I woke up at 4:30, hopped on the boat at 5 a.m., to jump in the water at 5:30, just when the sun rises and when all the sharks are swimming at a depth of more than 30 meters. First, we went down to 18 meters depth. In hindsight, I was already hyperventilating then and I was feeling out of breath, but I went to 30 plus meters depth anyway. Then I suddenly had confusing thoughts. I felt nauseous and imagined that I would spit out my regulator. This is your breathing mouthpiece. And I would inhale water. The result would be a certain death at 30 meters depth. Not a very nice idea with a 12 and a 15-year-old daughter next to you and a 4-year-old on the boat with the Filipino boatman. My 17-year-old son had already traveled back to Amsterdam on his own. Something like a primal power came over me. This is not the way I'm going to leave my family and this beautiful earth. I want to live. So just in between, I'm getting a little bit emotional because this was, this was really intense. But let's move on with the story. Because of the breathing exercises I had experienced with the dizziness I was feeling. And then I noticed that my breath was high in my chest and way too fast. I rationally realized that I had a problem. And this was part of my luck. My other luck was this. From taking ice bath, I learned that in an extreme stress situation, the ice bath, or in this case almost fainting at 30 meters depth, I learned to slow down my breath. And I was able to do so. The dizziness disappeared and I felt that my tunnel vision, which was I will spit out my regulator and breathe in water, diminished. My air was almost finished, still at 30 meters depth. I signed to my daughter of 15 that I was on reserve air and I had to go up. She gave me a look that said something like, "What the F, Daddy, what is wrong with you?" Which is exactly what she said when she came up, and I had about 2 bars of air left. My hippie training, controlling my stress response that I learned through the Wim Hof method saved my life. Writing this down, I get a bit emotional. Well, reading it out loud as well, actually. Because I lost my daddy when I was 11 years old, and I'm not to repeat this history with my children. Love and gratitude is what I feel now. What is the Wim Hof method? The Wim Hof method is named after Wim Hof, also known as the Iceman. Wim's method for mastering the mind-body connection is being studied by scientific institutions around the world. The Wim Hof method consists of 3 pillars: a breathing technique, mindset training, and cold exposure. And with the cold exposure, I mean an ice bath. Smiley. After a day training, you're able to practice the method yourself. The benefits from this method are amazing. By the breathing technique, you put more oxygen in your body, which gives you a better focus and more energy. You literally become stronger when you learn this breathing technique. This is why sporters or top sporters love this method. Also, by this technique, you train your cardiovascular system, the system of your blood vessels and blood, your heart. This has a huge health benefit because the number 1 cause of death is cardiovascular these days. Furthermore, you influence your hormonal system, and most people make more dopamine when using this breathing technique. So free happy hormones too. This is why people with a mental or physical problem love this method. The Wim Hof method breathing technique in bullets. Number 1, 30 to 40 times breathe in deeply and let your breath out go. Your last breath, you breathe fully out. Then you breathe fully in Let your breath go unforced. This is about 70% out. And you hold your breath until you feel the urge to breathe. Breathe fully in and hold for 15 seconds. And let your breath go. Breath go after that. Warning. Never do this breathing technique in water or behind the wheel in the car, driving a car. Better also not to do this technique when you're highly pregnant or when you suffer from epilepsy. The cold training is also a cardiovascular training. When entering an ice bath, the veins, the blood vessels in your arms and your legs contract. After the ice bath, the blood vessels slowly open again, releasing endorphins, another free happy hormone. But the best I've learned is to control my stress response. It all has to do with breathing. By slowing down your breath, you can control your stress response. Even so much that an ice bath is relatively easy. This comes in handy with my side job in the financial world as an option trader. For your information, I'm a full-time breathing instructor now and not doing anything in the financial world other than investing myself. So buying something and not looking at it for a month or a year. Stress simply doesn't exist anymore. Just breathing slowly whenever it passes by. The benefits of cold training are amazing. Cold training is a way to train your cardiovascular system. Your blood vessels, basically. The number one cause of death in the world is cardiovascular in nature. Mostly caused by too much fat, meat, smoking, alcohol, but still, in the end, some blood vessel pops near your heart or in your brain and a person dies. So if you know how to train your blood vessels, you basically become older while looking younger. Another benefit is that after a 2-minute ice bath, up to 6 days afterwards, you will have more white blood cells in your blood, giving you a better resistance against illnesses. Also, after a 2-minute ice bath for about 6 days, you have less inflammatory proteins. This is especially important for people with an autoimmune illness where inflammation or inflammatory proteins are attacking the cells of the own body. Then, through cold training, endorphins are released, so you get to feel better, have less pain, and feel super focused. Last but not least, your metabolism increases. This means that by training with the cold, you drop weight. But my biggest lesson from my training with the cold is to be able to recognize stress and breathe through it. Slow it down. Remember? This, very simple, makes me calmer and happier. The mindset that I've developed through this training is that I can do so much more with my body and my mind than I've ever imagined. Not a 10% gain, but more a 10-fold gain. Absolute magic. Walking outside for 5 hours almost naked with minus 25 degrees Celsius. The teacher training is quite intense. The summit is to go to Poland for a week cold training and walk outside only wearing shorts for 5 hours, temperature minus 25 degrees Celsius. I've been in a mountain stream with a waterfall with water of minus 3 degrees for 8 minutes. This experience was beyond cool, apart from gold. Also cold, apart from cold. Yes, I understand and trust that we cannot do so much more than we think we can, and everybody can learn how to do so. Body intelligence and an evolutionary leap forward. This is what I believe. I feel that we are in the midst of a huge evolutionary leap forward. The third big one in the history of Earth. The first one was when single-cell organisms became complex organisms. The second one was when life went from water to earth, to ground. And the third is that we're able to influence our autonomic nervous system. If you're able to influence your autonomic nervous system, you have control over your body, your health, your weight, your energy, and maybe most important, your happiness hormones. Be healthy, look good. The beautiful side effect is that you start to feel better. Much like I felt I had a problem with my scuba dive, you can learn to listen to your body. What you are developing is body intelligence or body awareness. Listening to your body is the same as intuition, gut feeling, or if you're a bit spiritual, heart thinking. Before you gain weight, you feel that you are becoming thicker and you will eat less. You learn to be aware of your breath and to use it to control stress. You can feel what food is good for you, and you will have a general feeling of more happiness and feeling good inside your own body. In this world, we are bombarded with information. How can we learn to live in a world that is going faster and faster? By developing your intuition or body intelligence. Filtering information based on what you feel instead of the rational mind. And the information that is presented by media, either social or normal media. A new evolutionary path. I believe intuitive decisions are best for a person and at the same time optimal for the world. A new world is coming. I am aware that I'm a dreamer, but I imagine that at a certain time in the future, parents will tell their children, "Are you sure you want to become a doctor? Maybe you can do art academy because there's more work in art than in healing people." By this method, you can create more body intelligence, which helps you feel the signs of your body better and make more body intelligent or intuitive decisions. About Wim Hof. Wim Hof is a Dutch guy that is also known as the Iceman. Wim is now 59, so he must be 62 years old. Since he is 17, he's practicing something that is called cold training. And when he was, I believe, about 20, he made a hole in the ice in the winter and lied under the ice for a few minutes. Please don't do this at home. Neighbors would pass by and saw a little boy lying under the ice, or a young man, completely freaking out. And then he would wave at them from under the ice. Although Wim is now saving lives, back then he probably gave a few neighbors a heart attack. Wim is a good friend now. And he's becoming world famous. So this is 3 years ago, so now he is world famous. For the fact that he can influence his autonomic nervous system. He has more than 20 world records on his name. He ran a marathon above the pole circle without wearing shoes. He ran a marathon in the Sahara. I believe actually it's half a marathon. No, in the Sahara it's a marathon. All right. He ran a marathon in the Sahara without drinking water. And he can stay for almost 2 hours in an ice bath. Is he an anomaly? Is he crazy? Well, you know, everybody maybe is a little bit. But this is what makes him such a nice person. Wim thinks he's not special at all. He just had a training of more than 40 years. One of his favorite expressions is, Screw the Iceman and do it yourself. Wim is claiming that anyone can do what he can do. Everybody can learn to influence their autonomic nervous system. And it is simple. A hospital in the Netherlands wanted to investigate scientifically if the claim of Wim was true. The score was 100%. 12 people that had got a 2-week training of Wim were injected with an E. coli bacteria. 12 people in the control group as well. Out of the group that used the Wim Hof method breathing, nobody, ! became ill, while the control group showed a 100% score of people being ill for about 5 hours. The results were astonishing and triggered Wim's success because now he had scientific evidence that his training is really something special. The somatic and the autonomic nervous system. We have both what I call a conscious nervous system, the somatic nervous system, and the unconscious part called the autonomic nervous system. According to current medical science, it is impossible to influence the autonomic nervous system at will. But it is now scientifically proven that we're able to influence the autonomic nervous system through breathing and cold training. So how does that work? It is quite simple. And I feel that the whole world should know about this. Our breath is in principle autonomic. You don't die in your sleep and you don't have to think about breathing. It goes fully automatically. But, and this is the magic, we can consciously change our breathing in 3 ways. Breathing deeper and maybe a little bit faster, number 1. Number 2, breathing slower. And number 3, holding our breath. And through these 3 very simple tools, you can change or influence your autonomic nervous system. And this is how it works. When you breathe deeper and faster, your blood and body is filled with oxygen. And you breathe out a lot of CO2. If you breathe out more CO2, your veins are contracting. The ratio oxygen divided by CO2 is increasing, very simply put. There's less CO2 in your blood and a little bit more oxygen. With less CO2 in your blood is more alkaline. The pH level of our blood is 7.4. 7 is neutral, below 7 is acidic, and above 7 is alkaline. So this is amazing. Through breathing deeper and faster, you can alkalize your body. And then if you hold your breath, your CO2 level is rising again, and your blood vessels are widening. This way you train your CO2 resistance, which makes you a better sports person. And you're able to slow down your breathing in everyday life more. So through playing with your breath, you can alkalize your body and you're training your blood vessels, much like in the gym. So in summary, through breathing deeper and faster, the blood vessels contract, and through holding your breath, your blood vessels widen again. Another thing that happens if you put more oxygen in your blood is that you become stronger. Let me explain. In our cells are the mitochondria. In the mitochondria, glucose is disseminated into ATP, which is the abbreviation of adenosine triphosphate. This is the energy carrier in our body and can become either brain power, heat, or movement. This dissemination of glucose to ATP is either with or without oxygen, aerobic and anaerobic dissemination respectively. If you burn glucose without oxygen, out of 1 glucose molecule come 2 ATP molecules and lactic acid. You know, right? Lactic acid that gives you muscle pain. By having enough oxygen in your cells, you will dissimulate glucose through the aerobic dissimulation, and 34 ATP are made from one glucose molecule. So having enough oxygen in your body gives you a 17 times more efficient dissimulation. This is one of the reasons why breathing properly is so important, and also one of the reasons why your sports performance goes up. How does this make you stronger? Well, test it for yourself. First, set a benchmark by doing push-ups. Just do as many as you can, and when you start feeling that it becomes tiring, it's time to stop. Do a round of Wim Hof breathing, and while holding your breath, so 70% out or 30% left in your lungs, you do your push-ups again while holding your breath. You can probably do more push-ups than before without getting tired. After you've done a few rounds of Wim Hof breathing, you will find that your breath is a lot slower and deeper. On average, and I train, it says here, 500 plus people per year, but that's over 1,000 now. On average, the number of breaths per minute diminishes to 50%. You can test this for yourself. Breathe slowly and measure how many times you are breathing per minute. Then do 4 rounds of Wim Hof method breathing and measure again afterwards. You will find that you will breathe only 1/3 to half of the time the number of breaths per minute than you did before. And this is what it is about in the end. Breathing slowly. You can instantly change your stress response by being able to slow down your breath. Through breathing slowly, you go more into your meditative consciousness, or also called the parasympathetic nervous system. This means that you're less in your sympathetic nervous system, which is also known as the fight or flight. Apart that this breathing technique is very healthy for you, in the end, it helps you slow down your breath. And slowing down your breath equals less stress, equals more happiness. You get it? It's as simple as it is. Simple and pure. Less stress is more happy. The two words to more happiness are breathing slowly. The cool thing is that you have your breath with you always. So if you choose to, you can use almost all that moments in your everyday life to breathe properly, or to slow down your breathing, or do a breathing exercise. You never have to wait anymore, because you can train yourself now whenever you're waiting somewhere. This is why I'm so excited teaching this method. And then there's a box about me, but I'm sure, well, let me read it. Box about Tim van der Vliet. Tim van der Vliet is a teacher, an author, and a father of 5 children. Apart from a healthy lifestyle, he has learned how breathing properly helps him feel calmer, be healthier, and cope with stress better. And even that he can influence his autonomic nervous system and alkalize his blood through breathing, cold training, and exercise. And this comes in handy in his busy, but no real stress lifestyle. Tim has been trained by Wim Hof. And that's it. I hope you liked it. And if you have a question, you can go to either mail me at info@timvandervliet.com, or just Google Tim van der Vliet and you will get to my website. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.